Good evening, Mr. Dayton.
Yeah!
Welcome to the Building Walls podcast.
Episode
totally
92, baby.
It is episode 92, huh?
Wow. We got to start talking about doing something for our 100th episode.
Maybe we'll bake a cake, or maybe we'll fly out to Omaha.
Ooh. What if we have guest appearances from all the people who have ever been guests? We just do like a 100.
That sounds like a nightmare.
I know. That sounds
Yeah,
terrible.
no, that
All
sounds
right.
that sounds like absolute hell to produce. No, thank you. I'm gonna opt out of that one.
Oh,
man.
Come on. What do we pay you for?
Man.
Oh, that's
right.
Nobody
You
makes any money
don't.
doing this. None of us make any money doing this. Unless somebody wants to send us some money, then we'll have some fun.
With that said, this week's episode brought to you by Crypto Mining Racks. Let's see it. Where's it at? Where's the little teaser? There it is.
There it is.
Start mining that crypto. I tell you what, a lot of things is very unsure about in the world, but mining crypto is a very sure thing.
It's definitely the slow and steady wins the race. A lot of nuggets in that. So, anyway, wow. Welcome to the show, episode 92. Chad, I am fired up to be here today. I am excited to rock this show out with you. And looking at this list and the show you put together, I cannot wait for the rant.
Dude, I tell you what. I don't know. This camera, I don't know if it's good or bad, this new camera that I got. I don't know if it's showing the imperfections or if it's got like a little glossy. So I don't know if it's good or bad.
Baby, you have no imperfections. You're great. You're rocking the Hockey Town shirt. Look at you.
There you go.
Repping the D.
That's right.
Stevie
This
Y.
is the only time I'm repping the D.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, so really quick. Final episode. Hard Knocks. It's done for the Lions. What do you think? Are you more excited to see the Lions play this year or less excited?
Gosh, I mean, obviously you're more excited because you feel like a little bit more vested into the personal lives of these guys. But at the end of the day, that last episode was kind of what was cracking me up, man. And I swear it was so funny because, you know, when we get together, or imagine me and like Aaron Bedore, like every time we get together, what is it? It's like, what's up, dude? And you give the high five and then the hug and the back pat, boom. That was every guy. And then they sit down and they're like, yeah, we're cutting you. Yeah. You're being waived. Hey, man, good to see you, though, man. That's so good. You guys are awesome. You really earned this spot. You earned being cut because you suck. And if you're being cut by the Detroit Lions, maybe you need to reevaluate your career options.
Dude, I think the best one that lays it out so perfect is when Pimpleton comes in and Brad Holmes gives him the bro hug or whatever. As soon as he sits down, he looks at him and goes, "I got the bad news for you. You're getting waived." I was like, wow. And then you have Campbell. Bless his heart, but he's always like, you know what, man? You bring a lot of value to this team throughout training camp. I think you got a bright future ahead of you. And he's like giving them this story. You're like, dude, you just cut him. You
just crushed somebody's dream. Right. You took their dream. It's like a Tommy Boy moment. You got their little dream and you're like, my little pet. And you go, and it's shattered. And you're like, you know what the NFL stands for? Not for long. Now beat it.
That's it. So I do have one question for you pertaining to their roster moves. They cut their two backup quarterbacks, which I think was a good move. I heard they were going to sign Blau to the practice squad. Turns out the Vikings picked him up first, so they signed Boyle. Do you think that was a good move to the practice squad, or would you have done something different?
You're a practice squad QB for an NFL. Like, get out of here. Who cares?
That's what's so. I'm glad you said that because I saw people online ripping the move. I'm like, guys, what better quarterback to have on a practice squad who no one gives a crap about, that you're not wasting a roster spot on, that you want to have someone there anyway? So what better to have a guy that already knows the team.
Right, for real. I mean, the thing is, like, we should be talking. If you're really going to talk about the Lions, then what you should be talking about is like, what is our challenge on that defensive line? Who's going to step up? Who's getting that roster spot? And why aren't they like wondering if they're going to even play tomorrow if we're not going to trade for somebody?
Right.
What linebackers are you getting? Because when you're getting excited about your 6th round draft pick, Rodrigo, like,
Dude,
come on, man.
That guy
Come on.
could be a stud, though.
I love Rodrigo, but he's not exactly Ray freaking Lewis.
Man,
Am I wrong?
Black.
Am I wrong?
Because Ray Lewis is black and he's Hispanic.
Dude, come on. Come on.
So,
I
I'd like Rodrigo too, but it almost doesn't. It seems he has more of a playful instinct than a killer instinct, which is what you want out of a Ray Lewis, right? Okay,
Dude, I want my middle linebacker to line up and cross from that offense, and I want the offensive line to be like, oh God, I hope he doesn't come my way.
Here he comes again.
Here he comes. That guy's nuts. I want a Spielman. I want Brian Urlacher. I want a Ray Lewis. Those are the linebackers that you think of and you go, oh God.
Dude,
no.
I think Hutchinson's gonna bring that on the outside though.
You know what? Watching that show, it did make me smile because it looked like a surefire. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a one-man wrecking crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that, and this is his rookie year. That's the thing, is like he's immediately going to be an upgrade. But imagine what he's going to be. Imagine 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now when that guy is just the cornerstone of that defense. And wow, you can really build around him. That was a great pick.
It was, and what a good looking family.
I mean, yeah,
just all around.
Yeah,
good for them.
I know his aunt. His aunt is a real estate agent and a friend of mine. Yeah, Jennifer. She's great, awesome. Great lady. She's awesome.
That's awesome. What a great family. Well, let's get into some good stuff we got here. Cue that first video. This is, we'll probably mention that speech the other night, but you cannot make this up.
No,
look at this. So, all right, you can pause it there. But just for those who are listening only, it's like a collage of videos. The top one is Joe Biden walking through an airport or outside on the tarmac. To get on an airplane wearing a mask. And he walks for 10, 15 seconds and no one is near him. The camera person, the person shooting the video has got to be 30, 40 yards away. And he's wearing a mask outside. The closest person is 40 yards away with a camera. And then the video below it is him at a rally or something around hundreds, maybe thousands. And he's not wearing a mask. At what point do you wake up and realize that this is all just BS? Is that?
Yeah. And important to note,
is this not the most ludicrous thing ever?
Important to note that these two videos are 1 day apart.
1 day.
It's not like, oh, he was wearing a mask, 6 months ago. Nope. That was like yesterday.
Right. It's like, what is going? Is this not the most ludicrous thing that we've seen to just blow up the hypocrisy that we talk about?
I just want to know, I actually am to the point where I kind of feel bad for people. I look at them, I see them wearing a mask outside or rolling around or wearing the mask by themselves in their car while they're driving. And I feel bad. How terrible must it be to live with that level of fear that you think it's either one or two things. Either you're so afraid of getting, sick in some capacity, from a COVID or, and you can see the damage that the mainstream media has done to do that to people's psyches, or you just think that you're like this person who's being brave and trying to protect others, and that's not. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. And so, to me, I look at it and I'm like, wow. If for me, if the MAGA hat, the red MAGA hat, is to liberals, that think those people are crazy. How dare you put a red MAGA hat on? I see someone driving alone in their car with a mask on. It's the same fucking thing for me.
They voted for Biden, 100%.
That's awesome. I love that. It's like liberals know that they see if somebody wearing bold enough to wear a MAGA hat out in public, they're not going to be friends. And you know what? I'm not going to be friends with somebody who's rolling around with a mask in their car by themselves.
It's just awesome. I love it. I love it, man. All right, so let's get into this next article here. This one, we may have to speed up the episode after this. I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it short here. But what's this guy's name? Russell Brand. This is a Daily Wire article, and he talks about Amazon coming out with a new way to pay. It's using your palm. So you go into a convenience store in California and Texas. You put your fingerprints on this thing, let you in. When you leave, it's already got your card attached. Boom, fingerprints, grocery store, purchases, done. Good to go. With just, another part of this article says a wave of the hand. Do you think, so my question to you is, you had the Jedi way. Yeah. Do you think the introduction of things like this, is this a blessing or a curse to society?
I don't think it's either. My personal take is I know there's like the people who freak out about like, the chips and the tracking and all that other stuff. And so I personally am probably not in my lifetime going to ever opt in for having something, a chip or anything like injected into me. I didn't even want to do I didn't even want to do I forgot what I was going to say, the vaccine. I didn't want anything. I don't like things being injected into me. That's what I was saying. So, just as well.
Like when foreign objects go inside of you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. Trying not to say. I was like, God, this is going to sound like really homophobic or something like that. And I'm not, I'm just saying I don't like things inside me.
Man, by the way, we got to look at the comments here. My buddy Chase, if you're watching this on YouTube, do not pay any attention to him. Talking about me wearing a mask in my backyard the other day. You met Chase, Chris, right?
Oh, yeah. Chase is the man.
Nice.
Chase is the man.
He is. Good old buddy Chase.
Dude. And did you tell me his wife is expecting? Is that happening? Or
yeah. I don't know if that's like shared knowledge to what they're telling everyone. I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, they are.
Nobody listens to our show. Awesome. Nobody listens to our show. No worries.
Wow, we have at least two people right now listening to it, and actually 5 in total.
Well, you 5 people are awesome. That's like quadruple what we normally have.
No,
this is a good show. People,
Dave is on here for sure.
Well, what do you think? What would you do? You gonna put the chip in your hand? You gonna do the wave? You gonna get into that, or what's up?
Here's the thing. I mean, I think that the growth of technology at 100% brings about a level of invasiveness that makes your life easier, but you can't go without it. But if you're going to put your palm on this to pay for groceries, well, I mean, I had to give my fingerprints over to get a CWP. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like we know the government loses all of our information anyway, just like they did in California. So it's not like my fingerprints and everything else aren't already out there in the world.
Well, that's what cracks me up about the people who are like, I'm being tracked. I'm like, bro, you're being tracked a million different ways. Like, with all due respect.
And no one cares about you.
Too late. And yeah, stop being so self-righteous that you think that people care where you're going.
Right. No one cares about me either for that fact. I'm not ragging on anyone here. Like, no one cares where I'm going either. So it's no difference. But yeah, I think that, it's just, you watch a lot of these movies Terminator. What else is out there? War of the Worlds. I'm trying to think of anything off the top of my head, but it's all around like the Skynet, right? Is that there's going to be a day where AI takes over, and they're going to have all this information on us and hunt us down. And yeah, that's a little freaky to think about, but shoot, California's trying to ban electric vehicles, and they can't even. Their grid doesn't even support the electrical.
That's the stuff you can't make up.
That like they have.
Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric vehicle, and then in the next day, hey, don't charge your electric vehicle because we can't use electricity.
Right. So how is AI running off electricity? They're just going to soak up all the grid that doesn't work for what we have now.
Right. Exactly. It's like almost like they're in the mainstream for the real men of genius.
All right. Can't wait for this. Let's cue this up. I love these videos. I love them so much.
My favorite part of the show.
I think, did you send this one to me?
I don't know. I send a bunch to you.
This is so awesome. Play this video. This is our real men of genius.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
He's trying to weld the pole and sticks his head through it so he can see it from the other side. And then he's stuck.
He can't get his head. Oh, that's so great.
Oh, man. Amazing.
Because when I first watched that video, I was like, I wonder what's going on here. And then you see him like try to angle his head out. Like,
so great.
Oh, yeah.
That's something I would do. I would do that 100%. That's something that I've probably already done.
You fell for socialism again. You're trapped.
That's so awesome.
I know, right?
All right, moving along.
Dude, ready?
Moving along.
What's this week's rant brought to you by? What are you drinking?
Dude, I'm not drinking anything. I got the sniffles right now. I got a scratchy throat. I probably have COVID, but I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to go and breathe on everybody.
Oh, you
hopefully with the technology, they're tracking me down right now.
Yeah, lock you up. You go wear a mask in your backyard. Make Chase proud.
Yep.
All right. So
the only reason, but by the way, that Chase knew I was wearing a mask in my backyard because he was in his backyard wearing his mask too.
Oh, well, he's so cute.
Mm-hmm. All right,
buddy.
Let's do it.
It's your time to shine.
So, I heard this at church the other day too. Like I talked about the other week. This is awesome. The pastor said this. How many times do you go out, like Dayton? How many times have you heard someone says only God can judge me, right? How many times? I mean, I've heard it all throughout my life growing up.
Oh yeah.
But guess what? Nowhere in the Bible does it ever say that. Nowhere in the Bible does it ever say only God can judge me. What it does say, though, is judge not, lest you be judged, which is the same thing that Jesus talks about when, what is it? It's when the Pharisees, I think, are all standing around, right? Or no, that's he without sin cast the first stone, but it's similar. But he's talking to a Pharisee and tells him to, hey, before you do anything, check out the speck in your eye before you try to take it out of someone else's. So essentially saying, like, before you go and judge someone, before you go and tell someone that they're wrong, that they're bad, look inward first, because none of us are perfect whatsoever. Look at Dayton's got it up there for me. First, remove the speck out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck out of your brother's eye. Matthew 7:5. Pretty much saying that, hey, don't be a hypocrite, right? Or better yet, don't be a Democrat. I shouldn't say that. That's not true in all cases. I'm just kidding. Not really, but just kidding. But it's just that how much of these things get perverted over the years. And it's not that only God can judge you. It's that before you go to judge someone else, because we all have to judge people on an everyday basis. You don't know who you're walking into everywhere you go. So you better be judging someone, because if that person's about to pull a gun, don't you want to make sure your family's safe? But it's not about that, right? It's about before you go trying to be righteous, before you go trying to tell someone else what to do, you better make sure that you're living a holy and righteous life, which none of us are. None of us will ever come close to being perfect. So stop trying to make everyone else perfect, right? Stop trying to take over the world. Stop trying to tell everyone else that they need to get vaccinated. Stop trying to tell everyone else that they need to wear a mask. They don't. Why? Because we're not perfect. COVID is not going to kill everyone. Why don't you look inwardly at yourself as what's going on in your own life before you take matters? And I love what you always say. Stop trying to be a superhero, right? Stop trying to save everyone. You can't do it.
Well said, my man.
man.
Well said.
But I mean, we do have another guy watching.
Way to model that, Joel. By the way.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Joel, is that?
My man, Joel Piazza. It's not man. Your boy, Joel Manier.
No. Different Joels.
Yeah, different Joels.
Mary Joel. Well, special shout out to everybody. I mean, like, hey. But, and I'm curious if anybody feels that way. I was going to say, Chad, on that topic, I mean, one way I've always thought about it is like, yeah, God is like the Supreme Court. He's like the final judge. But there's a lot of judges, and we can handle a lot of things before we get to that point. You know what I mean? And so everybody's going to die. And so you're going to face that final judge, that judgment, when whatever happens when we die. But along the way, man, there's a lot of things that we got to make decisions. It's called a judgment call. You got to do a lot of things on your day-to-day basis and try to be, the other day, I think it's trying to be the best that we can be.
I like that. That's good. That's good. Well, hey, with that good news she shared, let's get over to our wholesome story. I saw this the other day, and this is awesome. So, October 2nd, 2003.
It was a cold fall day.
Do you remember how good the U was? They had some stacked teams. That team, University of Miami running back Frank Gore limps off the field after suffering a knee injury against West Virginia. By the way, they also had Willis McGahee on that team, and I believe Clinton Portis was the other back. So they had three backs who were absolute studs. And we're not talking about everyone else. Kellen Winslow Jr., Ken Dorsey was their quarterback, I think, who wasn't anything special, but he's a great college quarterback. So Frank Gore suffers a knee injury. It was the second major knee injury of his college career. He also missed the entire 2002 season, the previous season. Returned in 2004, but wasn't quite as explosive as he was in 2001 when he averaged 9.1 yards a carry, which is wild. Remarkably, Gore would go on to play in more NFL seasons and games than any other running back in the history of the game. Has 16,000 career rushing yards, approximately, which ranks third most all time, only behind Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. What a great story of overcoming.
Yeah, perseverance.
2 major knee injuries.
He got him out of the way early.
Which is crazy. Like, at a time now, like, do you remember back in the early 2000s, it was starting to become a little better, but if you tore an ACL or if you needed like Tommy John surgery, I mean, you never came back to be the same.
Well, wasn't it? It was Willis McGahee, if I'm not mistaken, that blew out his knee or leg in the national championship game.
I think
right
so,
before he drafted. I think he was against Ohio State.
Yeah, against Ohio State and Maurice Claret.
And, they were getting ready like Miami was gonna win that game, but then he got injured, and they were talking about McGahee being drafted by the Lions with one of their top picks, because the Lions always pick in the top 5 picks and have. So how's that working out? But he fell in the draft, I think he played for the Buffalo Bills, if I'm not mistaken, but his NFL career was
Bills and the
never
Broncos, I believe, too.
Yeah. He was
Oh,
never,
that's
though he was so good in college. He was so good.
Yeah, dude, some of those Miami teams had so many good players on them. It's unreal.
Who was that tight end? Shockey? Jeremy Shockey?
Yeah, Shockey. That's who they
Oh,
had then.
dude.
And Kellen Winslow Jr. was after.
Yeah, they were
Shockey.
stacked.
That's stacked. Awesome. But hey, man, we are cruising right along here. I'm excited now.
Good, because we got to get going, because we got
Thursday
NFL football tonight, the kickoff of the season.
Favorite part, Chris's corner. Want to hear you roll, big guy. Let the big dog eat. So we have a few more states.
That's from Tin Cup. That's from Tin Cup, right?
Let the big dog eat.
Yeah, I think that's when he's like hitting the range. He's trying to. I think that's.
I love that movie, but I don't recall that specific line. That's awesome. I'm kind of upset now. So the state of Washington and Massachusetts allegedly are also going to ban gas vehicles by 2035. How far do you think this trend goes?
Well, I don't think it's going to go very far, because they can't charge any cars. You can't use your electricity. I mean, people are not going to go for that. It's all fun and games right up until people can't do what they want to do on a daily basis. They should take a cue from the fact that whenever people say things like, hey, you can't water your lawn, or you need to water, water conservation, you need to you have multiple, like every third day you can water your lawn, or in California, they have the electrical things with the air conditioning, like, hey, please keep your air conditioning set to 78 degrees. Like, get out of here with that. If you can't handle it, we don't have the infrastructure. And that's always been the argument. Chad, from the very beginning, whenever they introduced, the whole idea of like electric vehicles or, things like that. And it's just so stupid. The whole thing is a manipulative power play, because if you just slow down for 2 seconds, the vehicle, just think about it. The electric vehicle has a battery in it. Okay. Well, that battery had to be made, and it is made in a factory with what? Fossil freaking fuels. Battery stores energy. So I don't know, man. It's just so stupid. The hypocrisy of the whole thing is, you get these people who are overzealous, and they're like, I want my electric vehicle. Well, good for you. But it's kind of like anything else. You do you and leave me alone. I like gas-powered vehicles. Actually, I'm a big proponent of the hybrids, where you can have, the technology to, the battery charges, based off of braking and things like that. And it resets, so you're not having to plug your car in. I like that concept. You get a little bit better fuel mileage. So there's better ways to have better fuel mileage without it being jammed down your throat. You're going to be green and you're going to like it. No, you just go sit in the corner and think about what you've done, Newsom.
Wow. Look at the brains on Brad talking about the power braking. That's good. I like it. All right. So a second question to you. I don't know how much you read it and into this, but this thing is pretty wild. So FedNow, it's like Zelle. It's a direct bank-to-bank payment app. It's slated to launch Q2 of 2023. It's supposed to be able to make things like, if you need a government loan, it doesn't get funded in 30 days. It can get funded tomorrow.
Wow.
How do you think this will affect modern banking?
Well, like anything, I think that what we see as we progress through time is the speed at which things happen is continuing to get faster and faster and faster. I mean, just look at communication. You went from writing letters and mailing them to now you can do a FaceTime video call across the world instantaneously. So what's to think that other industries aren't going to catch up to that? And banking, can be one. It's just, it's just computer speed.
Mm-hmm.
How fast can a file be processed?
Do you think that this is something that was kind of created based off of the free market coming out with the blockchain technology of Bitcoin and other things like that?
Yeah, and I do think that cryptocurrency, not that we want to talk a big thing about cryptocurrency, but I do think that has opened up the eyes to a lot of people because it got a little bit past that initial, it's not so taboo anymore. When you say cryptocurrency, people know what you're talking about. And they might not have a total understanding of crypto, but they have at least heard of it before. And then they a lot of times even have some rough idea of what it's like. Again, the big thing on cryptocurrency is when is it going to be used as an asset to trade services? And when that becomes mainstream, it's not any different than what this other stuff is. It's just, the US dollar, your bank account right now is just a series of numbers that allows you to trade, things with people so that you can get food and pay your shelter and do all the other things that you want to do, right? How many people carry cash? It is backed by cash. You can get, paper, but paper slows down so much. Just think about like how different like checking out of a grocery store has gotten over the last 20 years. Had you ever gone when you were a kid to the store with your mom and dad and they wrote a check?
Oh yeah.
You get done. You remember the days they're like, how much is it? And they're making it out to like Kroger. Okay. And they hand them a check. And
that's wild to think about.
If you see that now, you're like, hey, can you just tap your Visa card and let's go? I got places to go. Literally, I go to Westbourne Market right around the corner from me, pick up groceries. I take my credit card. It's got the little chip in it, whatever. I don't need it in my hand. I have it in the chip. I can hold it in my hand. And I wave it. I just put it right up. Bam, 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 right there against the little machine. And it's like, takes my money. So it's pretty fast. It's even holding it up there and letting it scan it is faster than even putting the chip card into the machine and letting it do whatever it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven forbid you ever have to actually swipe the damn card.
Just no saying. More.
I have to agree. I
a swipe only reader.
100%. If I ever see a company's like, oh yeah, you can just swipe your card, I'm like, oh cool, I'll just make a note not to do business here anymore. Like honestly, I almost try to avoid businesses that don't even support Apple Pay, as petty as that is, because it's just too inconvenient. Plus I prefer the security of it. I don't want to pull out my card. There's credit card numbers or debit card numbers written on the side of my card. I'd rather pull out my phone, have a one-time authorization code that gets used to authorize the transaction, and it has to be authenticated with biometrics, with your face or Touch ID, whichever. It's way more secure. I'd rather do that, and it's faster.
Exactly. So the speed of transactions, that's just getting faster and faster. And I think people are comfortable with it.
I'm comfortable if you're comfortable.
I know you are.
All right, so got the third question for you. The Bills punter, Matt Ariza, or something like that. There's that thing came out that he gang raped a girl with a bunch of other dudes when he was in college. And he got released from the Bills almost immediately. Do you think that that's what should have been done? Or do you think kind of what's happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Well, there's nothing that says the Bills have to keep you employed. Yeah, that's not how that works. And sorry, look, I'm confident that the Bills as an organization are sharp enough to have a conversation with the man about it. And based on that conversation, they probably felt like, okay, there's enough ambiguity here that you're gonna go take care of your business. If you ever get this wrapped up and are, fine, you can come back. But right now, we don't need this. We don't need it in the locker room. We don't need the press. It's not good for our organization, and we're gonna go a different direction. So it's not about whether or not he's innocent or not. It's what the organization wants to do. Go. He's not guilty yet. He hasn't been found guilty. The trial hasn't happened. So I just think that's one of those things where, he probably was, in the wrong place at the wrong time. And heaven forbid he actually did it. So if he did do that, and you know what, then all those people need to be, castrated, in my opinion. So, but I'm not a big fan of rape, just FYI.
Plus another
Thank
thing
God.
I can add about
Thank
the
God.
business being able to release him like that. Here's the thing. If a business decides to release someone, if you try to say that they shouldn't, then you are anti-freedom. Because here's the thing. A business should be allowed to choose to employ you, and if they decide, look, we don't feel like you're representing... Because here's the thing. When you work for a company, you have your contract that states that you represent that company. And no company is obligated to hold on to you. They can release you. And I'm sure somewhere in his contract, it's stated that if there was something that came out that was controversial, they have every right to release you. Or there was something that they could say, anything deemed, that would tarnish the brand of the Bills, he could be released. I'm sure it's in the contract. It has to be. I don't know why it wouldn't be. So they are well within their right to release him. And I think any company is, if you do something that violates company policy, as long as you are on working time, which when you're in, say, like the public space, like, an NFL player or something like that, you're an entertainer, you're in the public space, you're pretty much under constant scrutiny and constant watching, and everybody is going to associate your actions with the brand that you are related to, And I'm sure,
that's an interesting take, because Matt, you're the only employee here. That's kind of a unique take that we probably couldn't bring that perspective, because we're on the other side of that fence, being business owners, where
Right.
you actually work at a corporation. You have a contract with them, right?
Yep, I do.
Yeah,
and I have
interesting.
policies that I have to follow. Now, granted, I am very grateful that most of those policies only apply when I'm at work. But one of the policies that's really interesting is like my activity on the stock market is very heavily monitored. And I can be fired if I do more than 60 trade transactions in the course of a quarter.
In the course of a quarter. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So I have to, every single thing that I do, and this is the reason why that is just due to federal regulations. And so, it is what it is. But
you work at a financial institution, right?
Right. So, and every single brokerage account that I have has to be with the company I'm working for. So I have to shut down any additional brokerage accounts, because if I don't, it could lead to scrutiny from the FTC or FCC. Or not FCC.
The SEC.
SEC. FTC too, right?
Securities.
And the
It's
FTC,
the
right?
securities. Yeah.
So
All
I mean,
of the above.
there's a lot of things that come into it, and again, I don't think that an employer of any kind has a right to tell you what you can and can't do off the clock. I think that, unless you are tarnishing their name. For example, if I were to go on social media and start slamming the company I work for unreasonably, if I am talking about, say, poor working conditions or poor pay, that is completely fair game, and they cannot fire me for it. It's actually federal law. However, if I am just tarnishing the company just because, and I decided to just start talking bad about whatever company I'm working for, they have every single right to fire me, because that makes their brand look bad. Even if I might not have a large circle of people that I'm affecting, it doesn't matter. That's still potential audience that you are giving a negative feeling on relating to the company you work for.
Yeah, employment law in America is very broad. It's a lot, mostly situational. So I think the Bills in this case, especially with the NFL, they have a pretty good track record. The NFL has a code of conduct.
Yep.
For anyone to participate in the league, and it's a private entity.
Right.
At the end of the day, the NFL is a privately owned entity.
Yep, and they can make you do. For example, if you even wanted to go to an NFL game and they said you have to come, say explicitly you have to always be wearing boxer brief underwear to every single football game, they can put that in their rules for attending a game even, and you have to abide by it. Like they can do that. Abide.
The dude
I like that
abides.
word. The dude abides.
But I mean, that's just the thing about a private company. But anyway, that's my take as an employee of a company. Take it or leave it.
We'll leave it to our audience. Let us know. Should Matt take it or leave it?
All right.
All right, man. Last one.
Get the last one here. What do you think of Biden's speech? Was this the most divisive?
Are you
Yeah,
talking about
okay.
the one where he walked out and he had his military surrounding him and the red backdrop? As a person who specializes in communication, and what goes into communication is more than just the words that are used, but it's the tenor, the tonality, the body language, all of the above comprise communication. And just to see that, and I want to know, like, who thought that was a good idea? Literally, who sat around and was like, you know what? Here's what we need to do, man. We need to get Joe to come out, show strength, show power. We get some Marines that flank him on each side, and you know what? We're gonna fade out the background into a crimson red. That should send a strong message. That shows power. Let's do that. Yeah. Hey, man. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I love it. Let's make it happen. And then they come out on the show and just stand there, and then he starts talking. And you're like, could he actually bring the country together? Well, no, not out of the gate, not like that. And then when you are attacking, it doesn't matter. This is one of the dumbest things that they don't understand. And this is even like Trump. I don't understand why he does this too, because they pit people against each other. You've got 81 million allegedly who voted for Biden, and you've got 75 million allegedly who voted for Trump. That's a lot of people. That's not like, oh, hey, the like 50 people at your local B-dubs, cheering on a team. That's a lot of people. And so when you decide that you want to engage in the kind of rhetoric where you're identifying, labeling, and dividing, because that's what both sides are doing right now. They identify, they label, and they divide. Well, it has got to be the most divisive tactic that Biden has done to date. And they're in a bad spot. Because, I mean, for the love of all that's holy, they're going, we MAGA Republicans are the worst people. So let's just step back from that statement for just a second. They literally said that. MAGA Republicans are terrible. They're the biggest threat to democracy. So MAGA stands for Make America Great Again. So you have a problem with America being great? If you're against MAGA, you're against greatness for America? Because we can debate what greatness is. We can get into semantics on that. But the reality is, Chad, it's the craziest thing because it's almost like they hate our country. The people go like, I hate MAGA people. I hate people who want to make America great again. I want to suck. I want to suck the rest of our lives. I want to be on the Detroit Lion. I'm just kidding.
Super Bowl.
It is what it is. Super Bowl. Champs. Championship. I just don't get it, man. I do think it's really bad timing. You're less than 2 months away from the midterms. So you're less than 60 days. And people don't forget that quickly. And nobody's going to forget that the economy is a disaster. Nobody's going to forget that and quite frankly, Governor Abbott in Texas is doing everyone a huge favor by busing those illegals to New York and now Chicago and getting all those cities riled up. Like, hey, what's going on here? Yeah. Hello. Hi. Yeah. We've been telling you this is happening in Texas. You didn't seem to give a shit, but you do care now when they show up on your doorstep. Okay. So we're going to play by the rules now, and we're actually going to get some stuff done. How about that? Well, let's be adults. We have a border. We have a process. You can't just show up on the border, cross wherever you want, and then claim asylum. That's not how it works. You have to go through a port of entry and claim asylum. If you come across anywhere else other than a port of entry, that's illegal. You're breaking the law. You should go to jail. You need to be detained. And if you did it willingly, knowing that you're going to just cross anywhere, well, you get what you get. Oh, you got separated from your family? Well, don't do that. If that's important to you, don't do that. Go to a port of entry. Have a process. And it's almost like, I feel like people are like really mad these days that there actually could be a process to accomplishing living a great life. That you're somehow just supposed to be able to go do whatever you want. Like you're supposed to let transgender people just talk to kids. Dude, where I grew up, if somebody came in and started talking about sexual things when I was 10, that person would go to jail. What the hell happened? Now it's being celebrated. Is that person's being brave or that's being bold? No, that's insane. We need to call it out for what it is. And you know what? I think comedy's got the best shot at like handling this stuff because they're the ones that are like calling this stuff out left and right. Cancel culture, cancel this. And I think people are really fed up with it. A lot. So yeah, I do think it was divisive. What do you think?
Yeah, do you know the last person who made a speech that looked like Biden's that we all probably know? Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, he used the same rhetoric. He had the military behind his back. Like that's stuff that Hitler would do all the time.
The thing that's the most insane is like the left, they just continue to scream fascism. And I'm like, you people don't even know what that word is. You don't know what it means. You don't understand that that's what you're voting for. That's what you're trying to implement. And dude, so I have a good friend. I have a friend that I reconnected with on Facebook. This girl I went to high school with, Elizabeth. She's actually was my first crush a long time ago.
Aww.
6th grade, yeah. In fact, I pretty much was in love with her from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and then just it never, whatever.
Age 45.
I was like the Wonder Years, whatever. But and she's really smart. But she's definitely to the left. And she invited me into this Facebook group, which was Democrats and Republicans united for the Biden-Harris administration. Okay. So I joined because I'm open-minded. That's why I'm open-minded. I will listen. But dude, it is filled with like hate speech. It had a picture of like this guy who was like a hillbilly. And like all the comments are like, yeah, that's MAGA right there. That's what it looks like. He's an idiot. It's like, dude, it's a picture of some guy. You don't even know him. You don't know what he talks like. You don't know what he thinks. How insane is that? And every comment, it's fascinating that 99% of the content in there is all based on their opinion of how they feel. It's not based on anything statistic related. And they're like, the truth. Oh, MAGA people hate it because Biden's speech told the truth. I'm like, well, truth about what? Here's the truth. My bank account is less than it was 4 years ago. That's the truth. Things cost more today. That's truth. My $100,000, that doesn't go as far this year as it did in years past. And people go, oh my God, you make $100,000. Yeah, well, I also work every damn day. I created my own company. What a shocker. You can still do that in America. Or you can go get a job and adhere to their rules. It's okay. Nobody's making fun of you if you want to go do that. But this country has teachers who work to help you all along the way. And if you don't want to take their help through, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, you don't want to take their help, so be it. Those were your choices back then. And you go, oh, I'm too young. Those kids are too young. Oh, but they're old enough to know their sexual orientation. So which one is it? Because I'm tired of talking to idiots. I love you, man. Sorry.
There was the real rant. That was the real rant of the night. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
sorry. I'm ready to go watch some football, man.
Sorry, not sorry.
And I'm going to have a drink. But you know what? At the end of the day, I am open. I have moved from right to left on a lot of things. And I think, honestly, the problem is there's nobody willing to have a conversation anymore. They're not willing to move off of their mark and just acknowledge they might be wrong.
That's
For
good.
what it's worth.
Preach, brother Dayton.
Go Diamond.
Preach, my brother. Man, so let's just wrap it up quick here. Good little life topic. If you're wrong,
Wow. I just read that. Amazing.
if you're wrong, admit your faults. Say you're sorry. Move on.
Nothing more to be said than that. Admit
That's
it.
all there's to it.
It's
Just
okay.
admit your fault. One of the best things I ever heard was an old boss of mine. He used to be in the Marines, and it was on a team call. He's like, listen, if you mess up and I call you out on it, or your boss does, just say, hey, I'm sorry. I fucked up. If you say that, awesome. Don't do it again. Move on. Ain't even going to be mad at you.
It's almost the people who can't admit that they did something wrong when I already know that they did something wrong. I'm the one telling you it was wrong. What you did was wrong. And if you're going to stand there and pretend like you didn't do something wrong, then now I have to question, do you have the capacity to even understand what we're trying to accomplish here? You've now shifted off of what you did into a whole nother realm of your capacity to accomplish anything, and might not be a part of our organization anymore or in my life, period.
It's facts. When you're wrong and you don't admit it, all it does is make things worse.
100%.
Because the other person already knows. I remember having a conversation with an old employee, and I said, hey, man, do you remember when we had this conversation about not doing this? He's like, no, we never had that conversation. I said, dude, me and you had the conversation. The reason I know that is because there was 4 other people standing there. We were all having the conversation, and it was about something that you did. He's like, we never did. I go, listen, I don't want to hear another word come out of your mouth again, because all it's going to do is make me more mad and make this worse. I can go pull 4 other people who will attest to the fact that me and you had the conversation together. Like, dude, it blows my mind when people do stuff like that.
It's insane.
Like, just admit that you're wrong. If he would have just stopped and said, sorry, I fucked up, I'd have been like, yeah, you're right. Let's not
move on.
Not do it again. Move on. Yep.
Let's
100%.
move on. Yeah, exactly.
And I've also had those same moments myself with my superiors. And I said that, and they were like, actually, the same guy, my old boss, who told me I had that moment with him, and I told him that I messed up, and he's like, did you say that because you knew that I would like it and not be mad anymore? I go, well, I mean, partially. The other part is the fact that I did, so I'm just admitting fault. And he's like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool.
I remember I had someone say that to me. Actually, in real estate, I made a mistake and somebody corrected me. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I messed up. That's my bad. And they said something similar to that too. And they said, are you just saying that? And I must have been my tone when I was like, yeah, I'm bad. And kind of like more dismissive because I'm the type of person that's like, okay, yep, I'm ready to move on. And I kind of looked and I go, nope, that was a good teaching moment for me. And I very rarely make the same mistake twice. That's the good part about me. But I make a lot of mistakes. I just don't make them twice.
Me and you both, my man.
My man. Love the show.
All right.
Let's go.
Commander,
all right, before we go,
football.
Last thing. Before we go, Commander Whalls, who you got tonight? Bills, Rams.
Buffalo is an awful city full of awful people. Rams all the way.
I am going to say Rams all the way because I hate you, Lang.
The funny thing is,
screw Buffalo.
Buffalo has a really good team, but I have a couple of really good friends who love the Bills. So I hate on the Bills just for that fact alone.
It's awesome. Actually, Buffalo's a nice city. But in this case, go Rams. Commander Whalls.
That's great. Under his eye, Commander.
Go in grace.